And I want to mention three things by way of introduction. Number one, God is the God of supernatural supplies. He's the God of supernatural supplies, unnatural supplies, beyond normal supplies. Example, we saw his supply for Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 3 to verse 6, when he directed Elijah to the brook Cherith and fed Elijah by the ministry of a raven. That was not normal supply. That was supernatural supply. Another example is the example of the miraculous sustenance of the widow of Zarephath in 1 Kings chapter 17 from verse 13 to verse 16, where there was famine in the land, and Elijah said, make me a meal first, for as long as the Lord lives, the barrel of meal shall not fail, the cruse of oil shall not fail, until the Lord send rain on the earth. We saw supplies, the food could not finish. That was not a natural supply. Example number 3 was supernatural supply for Peter and the master at the lake of Gennesaret, when it was time for Peter to pay the tax. In Matthew chapter 17 verse 27, he sent him to the sea to cast in a hook and bring out fish with money in his mouth. That was not normal supply. That was supernatural supply. That was beyond natural. And of course, our fourth example is the example of Peter at the lake of Gennesaret. I toiled all night, I caught nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net. And then in Luke chapter 5, verse 4 and 5, he enclosed a great multitude of fishes, and the net break. That was not normal supply. Fifth example was the wedding in Cana of Galilee. In the wedding in Cana of Galilee, the wine had finished. And in John chapter 2 and in verse 5, all the way to verse 11, we saw how Jesus released supernatural supply by turning water into wine. Let it be made clear that we serve the God of supernatural supplies. Number 2 key thing to know this morning is that faith in God is key to seeing the goodies or supplies of God. Faith in God is key to seeing the goodness, the goodies or the supplies of God. Faith in God. I had fainted unless I had believed to see. We just read that. To believe is to see. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 6, it said, but without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. God, faith in God is the key to our rewards in God, is the key to our supplies in God. Faith. Finally, number 3, obedience is key to accessing divine supplies. Obedience to scriptural instructions or injunctions is key to accessing supernatural supplies. The faith that brings us supplies is obedience-driven faith. Faith driven by obedience. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 1 to 2. It shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all these commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. You hearken to the voice of the Lord your God, you open the way for the blessings that overtake. Job 36:11. If they obey and they serve him, they spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure. If they obey, there is a connection between obedience and abundance. If they obey and serve him, they spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure. Isaiah chapter 1 and in verse 21. If you be willing from verse 20. All right, verse 19. 1:19. If ye be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. There is good in the land, but it is for the willing and it's for the obedient. Right now, I prophesy to someone here, your obedience of what you will be hearing this morning will usher you into a realm of resources that will amaze you. That amen is not a good one. If you are saying amen, say louder amen. If you are saying amen, say the loudest amen. Let me tell you the fourth point. The end time is a season for both spiritual revival and resources explosion. The end time is a season for both spiritual revival and resources explosion. Joel chapter 2 verse 23. Joel chapter 2 verse 23. Be glad then, you children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your God, for he has given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come for you the rain. He's talking of revival. The former rain and the latter rain in the first month. Explosion. Look at what happens. And your floors, resources, shall be full of wheat, and your fats shall be overflow with wine and oil. And I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten, the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army, which I sent among you. And you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God that has dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. That is, fire is burning. Fire of prayer. Fire of study of the word. Fire in fasting. Fire of evangelism. Miracles we have never seen before are happening. The kind of things eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, things that have not entered the heart of man. We saw very, very unusual things in Ibadan. Drastic miracles in Ibadan. I wish that we can just document the things we saw there. All manner of things will be happening. In the middle of that, the kind of resources that the church had never handled before. The kind of wealth, the kind of money, the kind of abundance for the sake of global evangelization, because this gospel must be pushed out in a hurry. Zechariah chapter 1 verse 17 said, thy city's true prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall comfort Zion. Haggai chapter 2 verse 6 all the way to verse 9. Haggai 2, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land. Hey, and I will shake all nations, and the desire of nations shall come, and I will fill this house with glory. Unusual revival. Saith the Lord of hosts. See what accompanies it. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts. And I will use this silver and gold to ensure that the glory of this latter house shall be greater than that of the former, saith the Lord of hosts. And in this place will I give peace, saith the Lord of hosts. Somebody shout the loudest amen. And God is looking for people. The eyes of the Lord runneth to and fro the earth. I think you should note that as note number 5. God is in search of vessels to entrust with end time wealth. He is in search of vessels to entrust with end time wealth. He is in search of vessels. I'm about to tell you something that will shock you, but God is in search. He said in 1 Chronicles chapter 16 verse 9, he said the eyes of the Lord is running to and fro to show himself strong on the behalf of them whose hearts are perfect. That First Chronicles 69 or Second Chronicles 69. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. God is looking for men and looking for women. Let me shock you. If God will not find believers who will be relevant to his purpose on earth, he will locate unbelievers that will be faithful. They may not go to church too much, but they understand kingdom assignment. That was what he did with Cyrus. Cyrus, a hidden king, he called him my anointed. Isaiah chapter 45 verse Isaiah chapter 45 and in verse 1. Thus saith the Lord to his anointed, Cyrus the king of Persia, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, and I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the two-leaf gates, and the gates shall not be shut. And I will go before this Cyrus and make the crooked places straight, and I will break in pieces the gates of brass, and cut in sunder the bars of iron. What will I do with the hidden unbeliever Cyrus king? I will give him the treasures of darkness and the hidden riches of secret places, that you may know that I, the Lord which called thee by thy name, am the God of Israel. Lord, why is it that you are looking for Cyrus to anoint when there are other Israelites? Why couldn't you get an Israeli? The answer is in verse 14 of chapter 45. And there he said, verse 13, I have raised him up in righteousness, and I will direct all his ways. He shall build my city. Even though he's a hidden king, but he understands what it means to build a city for God. He shall build my city. He shall let my captives go, not for prize, nor for reward, said the Lord of hosts. Did he not build a city? Cyrus it was that commanded for the rebuilding of Jerusalem after the captivity. He empowered Nehemiah and gave him all the resources, all the finances, everything Nehemiah needed for the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem. Empowered Ezra for the building of the temple. That is what the Bible means, that if these hold their peace, the stones will cry out. If I can't find those I will use in church, I am going to find those that will be committed. They may not speak in tongues. They may not do all the things that church people do. But one thing I can count on, if I tell them do this, they will do it. One songwriter said, I will never let a stone to take my place. I won't allow a stone to take my place. I won't allow a Gentile to take my place. I won't allow the hidden to take my place. I believe there are people seated here right now that God is saying, it is you I am looking for. Originally, I have you in mind, but if you will not function and understand kingdom mentality, then I have to look somewhere else, to somebody who may not have been in church as long as you have been. And then I'll tell him, do this, you say yes sir. Do this, you say yes sir. Do this, you say, well, I'm not interested in money myself. All I want is for you. Am I communicating? But I believe a mantle is coming on somebody today. Grace is coming on somebody today. Help is coming on somebody today. And God is going to cause you to do what you are meant to do for your generation. You believe that? Shout the loudest, say amen. Lift your hands and say, here am I, Lord. Use me. I will not be alive for another person to take my place, to do what I'm meant to do. I am available. Try me, Lord, with your resources. Try me, Lord. Give the Lord a praise and take your seat.